What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Jump Festa 2025 has popped off, and of course we have some new One Piece news. We're going to cover all the drops, all the cool stuff that came out, and what we're looking forward to next year, so sit back and relax. First, we'll start with Oda's overall message for Jump Festa. And the message starts with a farewell to Yao-san and a welcome to Subaru. Which, if you're not aware, Yao-san is the original Frankie VA. He also voiced Django, he voiced Bon Clay. He is officially retired, and they have set up a replacement for him to go on for the rest of the series and quite possibly the other series as well. So like the One Piece remake might be featured with Subaru. To those of us who have been fans of Frankie and his super for such a long time, of course, this is incredibly sad. They did a really beautiful farewell for Yao-san. You can hear in his voice that it's just not hitting the same, which is really sad, honestly. But it's really nice that they managed to get all of the VAs to show up and basically bid him farewell. They showed a lot of honor and respect to him, which isn't something you normally see for voice actors, to be honest. Especially when you look over here in the West, voice acting it's seen in the same light as animation, where it's like, you know, that's the level below true acting, is what some people might call it. But here they show him the proper respect. They give him his own segment, his own farewell. They have him go over some of the best Frankie scenes, like his introduction, some of the Water 7 in his lobby stuff. Really, really heartwarming, really touching. It's going to be really sad to listen to Frankie and know that it's not the same VA, and just hear that it's not the same VA. And I mean, I felt the same way with Whitebeard, with Kizaru, but I think Frankie being such a main character and such a bombastic character, this is going to hit probably the hardest. And Yao even leaves a message saying that thanks to everyone for showing up and everything you've done. Big shout out to Toei Studio and all the amazing staff. Huge thanks to Ichiro Oda for creating the masterpiece that is One Piece. Thanks to everyone for tuning into the stream. Gotta give it up for my awesome friends for making it here despite their busy schedules. Big love to my amazing wife and my wonderful family. We're all Nakama. Luffy's voice actor is in tears. I'm gonna keep living life on the edge, and if you ever need me, I'll be back. And so I feel like if there's something where maybe they just need a small snippet of Frankie, they may call Yao back. I think for the most part, we're probably not going to see him in the media again. I think this is going to be his like official retirement and his just time out of voice acting and just probably doing anything in general. I think this is the time where he relaxes with his family, which I think that's great for him. He's been working for a long time. He's been putting in work for a long time. He deserves his retirement. Again, just sad to see him go. They even do like a passing of the Speedo where Yao puts it on the ground and then Subaru picks it up. So it's like a ceremonial exchange of the mantle that is Frankie. Continuing on, Oda starts to talk about the live action. And he talks about like all of the great things we've had this year. So like the anime hit its 25th anniversary. They released a lot of new stores which are doing well. He surprisingly didn't really say anything about the TCG, but that's also doing pretty well. Talks about the One Piece base app. He talks about Fan Letter, which was amazing. We all know how amazing that was. But he says in particular he enjoyed the live action experience. Basically, he was humbled by how much love the cast showed for One Piece while he was like doing the filming and watching the filming. And he goes on to talk about how a lot of people are wondering why he's putting so much effort into a live action. And that's something that you see in the OP community. You saw it basically when it was announced that he was going to South Africa, when it was announced that he was taking breaks, when it was announced that he was having health issues. You see it pretty often people are like, why is he putting so much effort into the live action? He should focus on the manga and finish the manga while his health is still, as best as it can be, so that we can get that and then do like live action stuff as a backseat. And I really like the answer that he gives, which is that he sees a bigger playground in the live action area, where it's like, yes, One Piece already dominates anime and it dominates manga, but he's like, there's this new form, which is live action, that honestly anime just doesn't dominate because it's a hard translation. It's hard to go from anime to live action just because of the content you have in an anime. And he's like, I want to explore the playground. I want to explore the vast horizons that is live action, because it's an area I'm not familiar with. It's an area that anime in general isn't familiar with, and I want to conquer it pretty much. He sees a challenge that he wants to conquer, and he is not afraid to go after it. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the dedication to not only wanting to like kind of spread the popularity, spread the renown of One Piece, but to tackle a challenge that is relatively difficult for anime to get into. You mentioned the anime is coming back as well, and we know that that's coming back in April. They released a trailer for it, which features kind of just some of the updated visuals. We see snippets of Saturn, Kizaru, some cool stuff there. We even get like a little snippet of Luffy's VA doing the voicing for when Luffy stops Kizaru and Saturn, and it sounds really dope. It's also mentioned that the One Piece anime is going to be airing at a later time slot, I believe like 11:15 p.m., which means that it will see less censorship, and Oda even mentions that the anime will be coming back and will be more digestible. It'll be in a new format that people should be able to enjoy much better. And last but not least, he goes to the manga, talking about we finally made it to Elbaf. And Oda does this every time, where he drops hints, but he doesn't really drop hints, because he's like, so in Elbaf, things are shaking up because of the arrival of a certain man. And they showed the panel of chapter 1134 where the hockey lightning strikes the castle. So that's the arrival of the certain man. And of course, this is happening, I want to say, hours before the actual chapter drops. So it's a surprise to some. We already know what he's talking about, but some don't know. But he also goes on to say that we'll see things happening in other oceans. So not only are we seeing what's going on here in Elbaf, we're going to see some things happening throughout the world. Based on that, I'm thinking Cross Guild being a major factor in what's going on out there. I could see the Marines setting out to rescue Garp. I could see the return of Kaido and Big Mom. I think those are some of the things I could see shaking up the oceans around the world, because when you're thinking about supernovas, we've gone through a lot of their stories. I think we really just have Eroge left over. We could see what's happening with Law. We could see if Kid actually made it. We can check out Beige, check out, I think Hawkins is dead. Bonnie's obviously here with us, along with Zoro and Luffy. So the supernovas aren't really doing as much. But speaking of that generation, Oda also says that man will finally begin to stir up the world. And that makes me think either Shanks or Blackbeard. I'm leaning more towards Blackbeard, because I think in another translation of Oda's message, it says shake up the world, and I feel like that could hint towards Blackbeard and the Gurgura. Plus, we haven't seen what Blackbeard's been doing for a minute now, so I could see this being a point to bring him back, especially with everything else going on. The final piece of big news is that there is a new One Piece movie in the works. Yes, we're getting another One Piece film. Now, if you're like me, Film Red wasn't your favorite. It was decent, enjoyable. I really liked the music. I liked Uta. Otto did her thing, popped off. It wasn't my favorite film. I think I would still look towards Film Z or Stampede as being, or even Baron Amatu as being my favorites. But I enjoyed Film Red for what it was, which was basically a musical. I would like a. I know it's gonna be hard to get. I would like a canon film on the marine side of things, or at the very least, some like marine influenced film. Like, give me God Valley, give me Garp backstory, or like marine backstory that includes Garp. Give me old age piracy. I want to see something that happened in the past, because I feel like the past, you can make that canon and not disrupt a lot of things. When you start pulling the Straw Hats like away from things, where it's just like they're in Elbaf right now, and if you're like, okay, this happens in between Egghead and Elbaf, that kind of murkies things, because we know that the trip from Egghead to Elbaf was a bit like tumultuous, so it's not as easy to pull them away. Plus, you gotta say, well, this didn't really happen. This kind of happened. Just do a past movie. Do a movie about something that happened in the past that won't shake the current timeline, but will give us lore. I mean, you could do like a Rocky Port incident movie. You have so much content to go on. Give me a canon past movie, and I will throw my money at you. I'm gonna throw it at you anyway, but at least help me out a little bit. But that is all the One Piece news that came out. Of course, a bunch of stuff got announced at Jump Festa. Things like JJK, Demon Slayer, Spy Family, all the popular stuff got announced. So for a full rundown, you might want to check out and see if any of your faves were talked about during that time. But that's going to do it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Catch you in the next one. Peace.